Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome an accomplished professional from Melbourne, Australia, Vinita Baravkar. Vinita, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Vinita is the founder of Bhoomi. She has combined her deep love for the earth, humanity, and sustainable design to create Bhumi Organic Cotton. So, Vinita, before we start talking Bhumi, tell me about your journey and what led you to start Bhumi.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. My journey's been a very interesting one. So my background is actually in health. So I started off a pediatric nurse. Wow. Then I went into health promotion and health education, and I did my international public health. So I loved that world, and I still love that world. But what led me to this change was I was based with work and also through my travels in the agricultural zones across India and into Bangladesh. So I went with my blinkers on, my health blinkers, to do health initiatives. But what I saw on the ground and learnt on the ground are things that we didn't see in mainstream media, especially back then. Now we're seeing it a bit more. But what I saw firsthand were the impacts of the textile industry. And it rocked every cell in my body. I had no idea the impact that my clothes were having on so many people as well as the planet. So it was like, for me, I liken it to peeling back an onion. There were just layers. So initially we're looking at health issues that were odd. There were things like blood poisoning, lung health issues, which we weren't seeing. And that was all because of the pesticide exposure, pesticide poisoning, the toxic dyes. We'd go into certain villages and it was like they were multicolored, but the dyes had gone right into their bloodstream and their skin, and the life expectancy was small. But one of the biggest things that tipped the edge for me was, unfortunately, those zones, the agricultural zones, are now named the suicide belts and the farmer suicides in India. It really shocked me that what was happening because of the genetically modified seeds, the finance around that, the impact of that on families, the expensive nature of that and the impact of that. So a lot of farmers, unfortunately, were taking their lives, and then the impact of that on the family, it just kept going as I peeled back more and more layers. So it was really just putting all the pieces together and realizing I can't do this anymore. You can't unlearn or unsee what you see. And I felt that I had to do something to help change that.
Amazing. So now tell me about Bhumi. And after you saw all this happening in the suicide belt of India, what were the next steps you took to start Bhumi, and why organic cotton?
Yeah. So for me, I just felt very, again, like passionate about what I'd seen and learnt, that I couldn't take that away from me. So it was like, okay, what are the other options? So I felt it was a lot of years of research and meeting people on the ground of there's conventional cotton and regular cotton. That's 98% of the world's cotton for fitting into the fast fashion industry. So only a small percentage is there of farmers and the actual organic cotton feeding into the conscious consumer market. So that's a big shift to take. And I felt that the shift needs to happen. There's too much in the textile industry that is hidden. And I felt that being truthful about it and telling people what's actually going on led me to the other option. And there are other options, which was fantastic. So for me, it was the 98% versus the 2%. I felt I wanted to take that 2% and try and grow that. And it's really good to see that the movement is growing.
Amazing. And when you talk about organic cotton, Vinita, are you focused on Australian cotton alone, or is it cotton from all over the world?
No, so all of our cotton is from India. So we work with all of our partners. We are very strict about our environmental and social justice parameters. So we work with all our cotton is not genetically modified seeds. There are no toxic dyes, no pesticides, no herbicides. So it's really leaning back into the ancient of what was and bringing it into the modern day.
Amazing. So what I'm hearing you say basically is that you've made a difference to Indian cotton growers after your trip. Thank you. That's quite amazing.
Thank you.
My next question is that what are some of the challenges you faced when you started to go down this path of growing the 2%?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was coming from a health background with no retail, learning. So I took it as, for me, again, I think what inspired me were the stories that I've been left with, especially of some of the female farmers and the people that are working on the ground in India, just their stories of what's happened that were negative. They feed my everyday of this is why we do what we do. So I just felt that working on an environmental project as well as the social justice aspect issue is something very important to me to keep going.
And going further, can you share some insights on how the work that you're doing has created a positive impact in the local communities and farmers?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So every year we go to work to see our workers and the farmers. And we have very strong partnerships now, and we feel like we're all family. So it's like an extended family. But what I love is seeing that the infrastructure change. So every partner that we work with, it's making sure that children are going to school. So there's a lot of emphasis on education for children. There's a lot of initiatives of women having jobs. So in one of the groups that we work with, 98% of the workforce is women. So it's feeding all the very remote areas and bringing the women in buses dedicated every morning and every night. There's always food available. And it's just fantastic just to see that whole infrastructure is all about the workers' rights, because I think fair trade is another big component of Bhoomi. That we would like to, unfortunately, in the textile industry, again, especially in conventional cotton, child labour and unfair working conditions is rife. And that's something we want to shift. So with all our partners, there's no child labour, and we work with fair trade certified factories. So making sure that everybody gets a recognition for who they are and getting paid the right wages, and all of our cotton is certified fair trade as well.
Wow. And a logical next question is that what steps does Bhumi Organic Cotton take to promote fair trade practices and ensure ethical sourcing?
Yes, so this is a really big component. Again, having my background in, I love working with children. So I think when I was on the ground learning about how many children are involved in, unfair working conditions across the world, and it's unfortunately because they're very dexterous fingers and they're fast at picking cotton, and so it's something that was very passionate for me, that every child deserves an education. So I think with being fair trade certified, it allows that, even though it's more expensive, at what cost? For me, it's knowing that a child is getting an education, a family is getting the right amount of money that they deserve. Everybody deserves that human right aspect of it. So we're very strict when it comes to fair trade certification. So we have third-party auditors come in and make sure that we are working with fair trade certified cotton throughout. So seed to shelf, both environmental and social justice issues, were very strict.
Amazing. So my next question, Bhumi, and you've told me about how you source the best products which are organically certified, and there are ethical practices. What happens next? Do you bring the cotton or the thread, or to Australia, or do you manufacture in India and then export your brand?
Yes, so we do everything in India.
Okay.
So what we do is we work very closely from a design element right to finished product, just making sure that because we feel we have this, I'm Indian background. I was born in Australia, but my background is Indian. So, and it's interesting. My grandfather, back in the days in Punjab, he had cotton farms and he oversaw all that. So it's really interesting. It's coming full circle now.
Absolutely.
And I feel the memories I have of running through the cotton fields is now something that's very close to my heart because we're actually seeing it and working with the farmers there. But we work because we are passionate about the fair trade aspect. And the thing with cotton, being in Australia, the avenue for organic cotton is not here. The infrastructure is not here. Okay. Cotton as a crop requires water. And in Australia, we've got a lot of droughts. So rejigging the whole infrastructure to accommodate for rain or water, it doesn't happen here. So unfortunately, I would like to work with organic cotton farmers all over the world, but we look towards working with nature. And I think that's something, again, that we're very passionate about, leaning into the ancient wisdom. So we work with nature. And in India, we love the fact that the beautiful monsoon rains. So we harvest that. We work with creating technologies that allow for better irrigation systems by harvesting monsoon rain that feeds the organic cotton crops. And organic cotton in general uses less water than normal or regular cotton, primarily because with all the pesticides in the toxic soil, you're losing nutrients. So the more pesticides, the more water. So when you don't use the pesticides and the soil is fertile with nitrous, oxygen, and all of the correct elements in the soil, it requires less water anyway. So we like the fact that working with nature is one of the big parameters for us as well.
Very interesting. And Vinita, what role does innovation play in your business? And are there any specific innovations you want to talk about?
It's an interesting question. We like working with the natural elements and the natural aspect. So one thing that we are working on at the moment is using what is there. So upcycling or recycling. So all of our, any percentage of, very, very small percentage, say for some products that need elastic, which is a man-made synthetic fabric, we use recycled elastane. So working with new technologies to create recycled elastane rather than reproducing more of the same, using what we have. And then the other thing that's very exciting at the moment, we'll be launching it very soon, is working with tea leaves. So organic tea leaves. Organic tea is a big thing around the world. And all that waste of the tea leaves post drinking it, it's just discarded. So we're actually working with plant colours and tea leaves to create new colours and a new fabric. So that's coming soon.
How amazing. How amazing. Then comes the customer. You know, you've told me about the cotton, the process, the designing, and all the innovations. How do you engage with your customer, and what goes into building brand Bhoomi?
Yeah, so I love dialogue. I love education and awareness. I think it's very important to give people knowledge. So for Bhoomi, we use a lot of the world has changed to a lot of social media. So we have a very strong presence on our social media platforms just to engage in the dialogue and talk about the issues. And I really feel if you tell the truth and you tell people what's actually going on, knowledge gives people power. And with that power comes choice. So it gives people that option to say, wow, okay, I know this might have a positive or negative impact. And then it's up to the consumer to make that choice. But I really feel using our social media platforms, engaging in dialogue, we do a lot of talks, we do a lot of information sessions. I work with a lot of students at schools as well as universities just to talk about the impact of our choices, whether it is actually textiles or anything that we have in our life, just tracing back what's gone into it.
But tell me, now that I've understood the whole concept of organic cotton, and I'll be honest, I didn't know much about it till I read up preparing for my conversation with you. How do you promote conscious consumerism and educate consumers about the benefits of organic cotton?
Yeah, it's an uphill battle. I think the biggest trouble at the moment is greenwashing. So I feel, and we always have to try and stay positive. We are dealing with big brands who are working with conventional cotton or regular cotton. And also now the rise in conscious consumerism is great. We are seeing that people are asking questions. They want to know what's behind the brand, who made the clothes, and there's a big campaign around that. But I think the biggest one is having that open dialogue to talk about greenwashing, because a lot of brands are now seeing, okay, consumers are interested in things that are positive for the planet, or if there's a human rights issue around it, especially in textiles, they want to know about it. But I think greenwashing is our new competition. That how do we teach people to see through that and say, okay, if someone says natural doesn't necessarily mean it's certified organic. So we lean very heavily on certifications. So we only work with GOTS certified organic cotton because it ensures very strict standards and parameters, because not all certifications are equal. So it's about educating and talking and drumming the drums, even though your competitor next door is flashing all these greenwashing dialogue and spending heavily. I think that's the other thing we've found post-COVID. So pre-COVID, we had a store and I used to love talking one-on-one to customers. But then COVID came along, we had to close the store, and we pivoted very quickly to having an online presence. So now we are only online, but it's about a new journey and learning that to reach more people. There's a whole strategy there that you need to be on top of, because people can buy your words, people can buy your keyword searches, and it's like, wow, you're just trying to help the planet, but people are there to fight. It's try and take back, but we won't stop. We just feel, I'm very passionate about this, and I think we are a family-based operation, and we don't have investors. So for us, it's very important that initially, like certain bank people will ask, what's your end game? And I say to them, I don't have an end game. This isn't let's do a business and sell it and that's it. This is about the planet and her people. So for me, it's after I'm gone, I hope this continues, that people are asking questions about how can we change practices that are hurting the planet and that are hurting her people. How can we change systems that are doing that? And I feel that there's a rumbling, there's a bigger movement happening of people asking questions.
What a great response. Thank you. And Vinita, have you faced any kind of pushback from the traditional cotton industry or the 98%?
Yes, absolutely. I think naturally, I think people are worried about, especially I've spoken to a lot of farmers themselves all around the world about, well, what about us? And if we can't change to organic, then what? So I think in India, it's fantastic. There's a lot of initiatives at the moment, farmers helping farmers to change their soils. So while it takes usually about 6 to 7 years for toxic soil to leach all the chemicals out of it to become fertile again. And that's a long time to wait for farmers. They need to have a living. So it's beautiful in India. We know a lot of organizations that are helping farmers, are helping each other, that they can borrow their land and grow while their soils are being leached of the chemicals, because they also see that the demand is growing of organic cotton. And I think even other farmers that I've spoken to in Australia as well, it's about looking at different ways we can do things. So the pushback really is about how can we change? And if we can't change, what can we try and do better? So unfortunately, for me, there's no pesticides or there's pesticides. Some people say, oh, we use fewer pesticides because of the genetically modified seed might have some technology in it that they use fewer. But I'm of the stance of it should be zero pesticides, because all of those pesticides end up in the soil. It ends up in the waterways. The textile industry as a whole is one of the largest contributors of greenhouse gas emissions. So if we can change that, there has to be other ways. There have to be ways that we can change the whole system. So it's just, I like talking to people and farmers and workers just about what are the other ways then? What are innovative ways that we can look at the problem?
Wow. So we have time for two more questions for you. My next question is that, and, given all the work that you're doing, and, you're doing a lot of great work for the planet, but how do you balance your own profitability with the social and environmental impact in your business model?
So as I mentioned before, we've gone down the path of also not knowing how to run a business and then getting into the business world. We have very clear parameters of we will be a family-owned business with no investors, because we feel the investors might be able to inject more money in, but then things change and certain values that we hold strong, the social and the environmental, they will then be lesser to other people. And we just find if we keep it in family, we can do that. We can see that the story is the same. And by keeping it family, it's the biggest thing that I think is a different model for us. We're direct to consumer. So we do not have a stockist model at all. We are only dealing directly with the customer. So we've taken out that middleman and all the increased pricings that people put on that. We've taken that out. So we are able to still see profit for us is more about, is it helping the planet and is it helping someone? And then all the sales that we make go straight back into the business, because we feel if we can reach more people, get it in the hands of more people, and for us it's an experience. If they can feel the difference and we can impact more people to change their ways into, okay, sustainable living, what can I do to change within my own home? And then I'll tell someone, and that person will tell someone. If we find the reach that way, we feel that then more impact will happen with the planet and looking at fair labor practices. So we feel a different way of doing things by keeping it in family as well as direct to consumer is the profit is more about profit for the planet.
I understand. And my last question to you, Vinita, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. From a health professional to an entrepreneur focused on planet Earth, built a fantastic brand for organic cotton, looking at other organic products to grow your business like tea. What would you say are 3 lessons you would want a lot of our viewers and listeners to take away from your journey?
Okay. I think the first one, because it's very close to me, is lead with your heart. I've found initially a lot of resistance with a lot of people saying, oh, you can't run a business because it's too emotional. And for me, it's the opposite. If you're passionate about something and it's close to your heart, run with it. Run with it. And I feel don't let people pull you down about that. There is business, there is finance, but don't let anybody tell you that you cannot lead a business with your heart, because if you lead from the heart, you are having that passion in it to then help other people.
Well said. Absolutely.
So I think that's the first one.
Yeah.
The second one would be, I think, asking questions. Questions, it's like where I started my journey.
Yeah.
It's that onion layer. It's unearthing things. So if you're asking the questions of whatever it is, whether it's the textiles that you have in your house, something that you're eating, putting on your skin, whatever it is, asking, what is it? How was it made? Who made it? Where was it made? What's the processing involved? Just by that process of inquiry, it will unearth so many things that you'll be shocked and amazed. And I think having that question will always help your direction. Your moral compass will be led by asking questions. And I think the third one would be open to change, be open to flexibility. Change sometimes is scary for people, but I feel if you try and embrace change, I think it'll just open avenues, it'll open doors, it'll open your mind, it'll open opportunities. And I think by allowing change to be in your life, I think the other thing is that goes hand in hand with that is being open to difficulties. So where there's a difficulty or where there's a challenge, if you're open to change, it almost opens up the path to, wow, there's another way to do this, and explore that. It may take a while to get there, but I think if you start that journey, the universe will naturally lead you to that.
Well said. And on that note, Vinita, and your 3 wonderful lessons: lead with your heart, ask questions, and be open to change. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your own amazing journey. I mean, I just loved the way you so passionately described your discovery of cotton. I learned some amazing new things from you today. Thank you for talking to me about Bhoomi and all the work that you're doing to be able to build Bhoomi as an organic cotton brand. Thank you also for talking to me about a lot of work that you are doing for consumers to promote fair trade practices and moving towards a more sustainable goal for your organization and for Earth. Thank you for speaking.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.